Thank you everyone coming out tonight. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silent reflection. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, could you please take our roll call?
Brenda Russell.
Present.
Josh Peters.
Here.
Brian Robinson.
Here.
Rich Hayes.
Here.
Andrew Hitt.
Here.
Carla Blazer.
Here.
Anthony Smith.
Present.
Everyone's present this evening. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at the minutes from our last meeting? All right, all in favor of approving those minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed, same sign. All right, minutes carried. Communications and announcements, we do not have any. We do not have any public hearings this evening. No audience concerns. On to our committee reports. Mrs. Russell.
Okay, we have a finance meeting, and there'll be some things covered in legislation that we discussed at the finance meeting, so I'll just give a brief of things that we won't have legislation for. Well, the auditor's office, they signed a contract for the new CMI software, and the contract was for $100,000, although it's probably may only cost $80,000. But they have to buy some new printers, or there may be some miscellaneous stuff they need to purchase in there, so they just did it for $100,000 just to cover all bases. Okay, and we talked about the CRA payment to Stanley's, and under advice of administration, we decided to wait until after the first of the year to see how we would pay that, depending on what our finances are at the end of the year, which we go by month, really as what is collected. Okay, so we'll take that, they'll bring that back to finance in February, is it? Okay, moving on. Department heads updates. The chief of police was there. He said that the Ford Motor Company have a plan which is called delayed parts, and because of it, they get a discount on the parts. Or did he say they get it free? Carla, did he say we got a discount on it, or we got the?
No, we got $22.50, I believe it. Yeah, $22.50 credit.
Okay.
But you can't use it towards a new vehicle,
Yeah,
even though they gave it to us because they were late with our new vehicle. You can only use it for parts.
For parts.
Service.
So that's what he's gonna be using that money for any parts or service. Okay. And the OPWC applications were submitted for the water and the waste for the dump truck. And this was at the street department meeting, and Bill told us he got the additional $20,000 for storm sewer. That's it. So. Okay, and that's all I have. Our next meeting will be on, I think it says it, the November the 9th at 6 p.m.
Okay, Josh P.
Yesterday we had a public service meeting with the street department. Those guys, they cut a few trees down there at the park. They've also paved there at the parking lot, the basketball court, skate park, and the parking lot on 2nd Street have been completed. Then the street sweeping around town, they've been cleaning catch basins around town. They also cleaned up where the creek banks there on Park Avenue and Walnut. They've been dirt patching around town, repairing traffic lights. They also did a trench box and trench training. They're filling potholes in alleys around the town. Started gearing up for the winter with their trucks. They've got one plow and salt spreader on the truck just in case we need early snows. Parks and Rec, volleyball finished up last night. Basketball registration has started. The pool, she's starting to winterize the pools. They painted the main and diving pools, and working on the concessions, doing some odds and ends in there. We also talked a little bit about Marion Mac, and we're going to discuss more next month about it, since we just initially got started, so that's where we are with Marion Mac. We are getting the 2 fans put in the community center, help with air circulation. These are special fans. I think she's hoping they'll get installed into the first week of November, before basketball season starts. That money, don't pay for that, it's from CARES Act money. And then our next public service meeting will be Thursday, November 12th, at 1 p.m. The reason why we're not having it on Wednesday is because it's Veterans Day, so up to the date Thursday.
Mr. Robinson.
I have nothing.
All right. Mr. Davis.
Okay, we had a safety meeting this past Tuesday night. I'll give the police division's report. They started the application process for a new patrol officer. Applications are open until October 30th. Completed grant submission to the state of Ohio and will be reimbursed approximately $6,000 for the purchase of several bulletproof vests that were obtained this year. These were for new hires and also replacements for expired vests. Bulletproof vests have a 5-year usable life per manufacturer regulations. John Todd of London was hired as a part-time dispatcher. Several new forms were updated to enable direct submission of information from our app and website. Thanks to the work of the city administrative assistant with creating online payments, several items requiring payments are now payable online as well, such as parking citations and various city permits. Started to see the use of these forms by the public, which is good. We've also been issued from the city administrator a card reader for credit payments. We selected SCI integrated out of Grove City to update our remote access to the interview room and security camera recordings. Cost of $15,000 to be paid by CARES Act funding. The front windows and the brick facade of our office needs immediate attention due to deterioration. We have an estimate of approximately $10,000 for the replacement of windows and brick with approval pending from the Historical Review Board. A local contractor will be doing work and is expected to be completed yet this year. Our new cruisers arrived from Lebanon Ford, waiting availability of the upfitting company to install the equipment. Each cruiser was outfitted with an updated, larger first aid kit, purchased locally an enclosed cargo trailer for use in transporting equipment and supplies for various uses, including remote mass inoculation sites. When not in use, it would be available for other city uses as needed. It's expected to be delivered this week. Cost was covered by the CARES Act funding. As we mentioned earlier, they were allotted $2,250 in funding from the Ford Motor Company. The funding is for the delay in last year's cruiser production and must be used at a local dealer for parts and services only. Chief Nickel attended the online version of the annual Chiefs Conference and in-service, and firearms certification will be conducted next week at Otadas Range. Next safety meeting, November 10th, 2020, 6 p.m. right here.
All right, thank you. Mr. Renee.
Yeah, I attended the safety meeting also, and I'll give the fire chief's report. They were continuing department EMS training on OB emergencies. They're continuing new hire orientation. Had training on the hose line movement and pump training. They finished completed first aid, fire safety training for Boy Scout Troop 104. They completed the annual fire pump testing. They had a touch a truck event at Madison Head Start. They had pediatric advanced life support training at Madison Health. They had training with Igor and Officer Holmes for related to officer down procedures, and they participated in the 9/11 Memorial Service. And they have had 1,837 runs, which includes fire and EMS runs for the year.
Thank you. Mrs. Blazer.
I attended sorry about the voice. I attended the public safety meeting also. We had kind of two subjects that we had, are discussing, and we'll be bringing resolutions up. The first one, we kind of ended on it at the last, I kind of brought it up a little bit at the last council meeting, was the, how we're supposed to notify people for, alley vacations. Currently, it's a $75 permit fee, which has been there since 2004, is that long ago? Excuse me. And with the way that our ordinance reads, it could cost upwards of $1,000 from the council's budget to do it that way. But if you look at what the ORC says in the state, they say that if you have a petition signed by all of the residents that abut the alley, you don't have to have any kind of notification. That's good enough. And then if you don't have that, you only have to post it in the paper for 6 weeks prior to vacating the alley. So, because we talked about increasing it, because that's kind of, that's 16 years old money. But, I mean, there is some work involved in that kind of stuff, so we want to look at what the cost is to post it in the paper. And it said if you didn't have a paper, then you can just post it in public places, 3 public places, 6 weeks before the event. So, I think that resolution is going to come up completely different, taking out the certified mail and probably changing the cost of vacating an alley if they want to do that. So that was the first one. The second one, Brian brought up, and a resident was here also, that brought up wanting to have chicken in the city. Basically, for your own sustainability, for having, if you want to raise your own food, especially if you're concerned about additives and all that kind of stuff that goes into the chicken farming. So that, and Brian had a nice article or a resolution started from some of the other municipalities around that already have it. That's the only animal that we're going to allow is chickens. Couple things that we are kicking around is the number of chickens. One thought was 6 per property. Another thought was 1 per 1/10 of an acre. The rules are very detailed on how it's got to be set up, what the size is, how it's got to be cleaned, kept nice, and that there's no roosters, it's only chickens. They're not free-range chickens, so we won't have them running around the street disrupting. Again. So they can't sell the eggs. There is a piece about it, they violate any of those rules, they can be charged with a misdemeanor. They can also lose their chickens, they can be confiscated. And the other thing that we kind of tossed around was, should the adjoining properties,
I say Anthony can pick those up.
We could have like a waste disposal charge for chickens though. The other thing we kicked around is, should we have a okay by the adjoining property to the person that owns chickens. That would cut down on maybe some of the complaints if everybody agreed, but then you're also looking at, I mean, most of us have that neighbor who doesn't like anything you do, kind of. And that one person can kibosh your whole idea, and it is your property, you know, you've got dogs, cats, nobody has to sign off on that. And those can be as annoying or more than chickens would be in somebody's backyard. So those are the two things that we kind of tossed around as far as maybe changing it, but we were on, excuse me, we were all in favor of it. Thought it was a good idea, especially in the current time. I went to Walmart yesterday and could buy eggs, unless I wanted the organic ones or super large ones or something like that, because it was not ideal. So I think that also kind of plays into being able to have chickens.
I think you need to look at the fencing too, because my neighbor had chickens, and they jumped the fence. They just had a chain link up, and chickens would jump that fence, they'd be out across the street. And I told Rob, I'm not chasing the chickens.
Because they can't
We're
fly.
gonna require a coop.
They just not fall.
They even jumped that fence. I don't know how they got up on there. I think he had a little pit. I don't know how they'd be across the street. And the neighbors know, you just had cats to chase them on, so.
We didn't have something in there about not being free range, but I guess technically if they're in a fence, it's not free range, but maybe we could.
Well, that's why I thought
It's kind of wrong
what
that
we're
it's
talking
being
was,
closed, yeah.
what, depending on the size of your property, having a certain size of a coop that you have to require because of that. And then also with the predators coming in, I mean, you're gonna bring that in if you have chickens running all over the city. So if you have a coop,
And they smell.
if you keep,
Oh, they smell.
I was gonna say, I would invite everybody to 74 Chandler, it's my aunt and uncle's house, go to the backyard, and on your way to the backyard, smell.
You can
The
smell.
smell's horrible. You look at 70 Chandler, the backyard of 70 Chandler, and how bad that backyard is because of all the chicken poop, they just pile up.
But see, there's all that, there is specific in the legislature about making sure that you take care of.
And it is
So, but there's
horrendous.
no piling of waste material at the wet residence.
This is your
I'm sure
family's
that's-
house? Your family's house butts up to it?
My family's house butts up to
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yes.
So that's why I said, I invite you to come over to 74 Chandler,
Yeah.
go to the backyard, take a look, and smell.
I grew up, we had chickens, and we
They
had
smell.
pigs, we had goats, we had horses, we had cows, I lived on a farm. And just the chickens themselves is pretty bad. You don't need a lot of chickens to
No.
get that space.
Also, they can't allow any of their waste or the chickens to stack up, it has to be taken care of, or they're a violation. They have to get a new permit every year, it's gotta be inspected.
The thing is that it's me, the neighbor, that's gonna have to make that call.
Right.
It's me and the neighbor, that's gonna have to make the call on my neighbor, that your chicken stinks, so here we go.
No.
It's.
Why isn't the city taking their chickens away?
now
Well,
there is,
before H, you can have one.
I don't,
you're
Yeah,
allowed,
but you can only
there
have
are
a certain
grandfathered in
amount.
chickens.
I don't,
Yeah,
I don't think they have any chickens right now, but when they do, I mean, I can show you pictures.
you can also have a 4-H project,
4-H chickens.
But
Yeah, it's
before-
4-H, but I mean,
but if you're a breeding project, you're allowed to have chickens all year round,
If you
even
want.
if you're in a 4-H project.
right.
So if you're in 4-H and you're a breeding project, you can have chickens all year round.
Oh.
And also, there's a grandfathered in agriculture, which, as you can go around town, you see horses and everything,
Goats.
and they've all been grandfathered in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just almost an extension of what those individuals are allowed to do. You're still going to follow your HOAs. I mean, you still have the opportunity to say no. I mean, if they're not keeping it up and they lose theirs, I mean, we can even put a fine of I don't know if we can, of having to get rid, because you can lose your permit. Is kind of how we're trying to say it. Cleanliness is not there, you can lose your permit.
It would give us this would give us some teeth to go after those people that are causing trouble.
So I definitely say if you are interested in further discussion on the chickens, then you definitely want to go to a public
Well, the next safety meeting, we voted to bring it to the November 5th council meeting.
Okay,
So that actually the next safety meeting is after that.
after that,
So I think you sent around something, and I can send it when I type around to email.
I sent the first one with just little notes on it. Andy and I kind of changed around a few different things. And feel free to respond. I mean, when I sent out the first time, I only got a couple of responses, so please. But because this is something that's not going to go away. It's something that,
I think what you did was the right thing to do, is they approached you, and once you bring it up to city council.
well, I've only been on the panels since February, and I know 3 different members have been approached by it. So
all right,
it's something that we should discuss. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But
yeah.
I think there's a way to do it. I mean, if you look at Madison County, I know Johnson Alder, or Plain City's allowed, Mount Sterling, I'm pretty sure it was Jeff. Where I got my information was from Bexley, which is in the middle of Columbus. Columbus has an ordinance. There's a big bill, 17425. It's a statewide bill that's being proposed right now to allow it.
And they're just gonna set it 1 per 10th of acre, right?
So Andy and I, we threw it around the other day, was like, you can have, what was it?
You can have
6 chickens per quarter acre, or larger lots, you can have up to 10. And we do,
Well, that's what, I mean.
at first we proposed
Somebody's
6.
up in a family eat, because they're not all selling.
I think most of the lot sizes out where we live is quarter acre lots that have 2 chickens. So I think if they're half an acre or less is 6 chickens and then.
Well, we have, it shows a quarter right now, so we need a half an acre. We can do it however,
We can amend it however, or whatever, but.
so,
Or if it's over half an acre, then we can have up to 10 chickens.
and then we talked about all budding properties would have to sign off on it. And, I mean, we had a lot of discussion on that, but saying, well, somebody can have 10 dogs, doesn't have to sign off on anything. But at the same time, you don't have to go get a permit for that. You do have to go get a permit for this. It's going to be regulated a little bit
You have a
more.
complaint. You have a way to rectify the problem
Right.
by complaining. I mean, right?
It's just something to look at. I don't think it's something that's going to go away, because I know when I first brought it up, it had been turned down about a year ago, and I know it's been brought up in the past, so it's something that will continue to be brought forward, so I think it's the time to talk about it. We're an agricultural town. So,
The lady who came to the meeting has a petition out that she's having people sign with the city. I think she has about 100 signatures, 112 in the city.
and she's only got one.
220 in general.
Yeah.
So I think she's coming to the November 5th meeting and bringing people who advocate for it.
Okay. Well, and that's what we do too. The citizens come to us with things, even though we've discussed it before, and we were not in favor, but, you know, another brand new person comes up to discuss it, and that's our job, is to bring it to council and discuss it, so.
Well, I think if you look at the way a lot of people are feeling about their food and how they get it, and knowing what's been, you know, what kind of things have been done to them, not done to them,
Yeah.
I think this is only going to be something that's going to be a stronger effort from people to want to do is to grow as much as their own food and birds, chicken, as much as they can.
Who will enforce it?
It's a zoning.
Oh, the zoning.
Same person.
Thank you for that. On to Mr. Smith, you have to.
I know.
Okay. And I know we've already addressed audience concerns, but do we have an audience concern, Shane Trainer?
I thought you guys started at 7. My bad.
Okay. Well, if you like, you just want to step to the podium, and then you can grab one of those, there's a slip under there too that you can fill out. Just state your name and address, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. I don't really have a concern as much as just an announcement. My name is Shannon Trainer. I was going to get Pat to sit on the Historic Maritime Revitalization Commission. I just wanted to make an announcement in case you weren't already aware that the Ohio Heritage nonprofit organization organization is going to be here on the 28th and 29th of October to do their professional assessment of downtown. That includes a portion of community feedback, as well as some feedback from interested stakeholder participants. The community feedback session is actually going to be in this room on October 28th between 6 and 8 p.m. The meeting will be directed by Frances Jo Hamilton. She's one of the organizers of the Ohio Main Street program. And we're just hoping for some positive and hopefully some constructive feedback regarding what we can do as a community in order to implement a program for not only revitalizing our downtown businesses and residential areas, but also implementing a program that will provide for its continued development into the future. The idea of the Ohio Main Street program is to set up a board. It's populated with several various committees whose responsibilities will be all of the things that are sort of splintered among various volunteer organizations at this time. For example, various festivals, downtown events, perhaps focusing on building occupancy in its both primary and secondary tertiary levels. So anyway, that's my purpose here. I do have some flyers that we have regarding the whole program, the structure of the program, other communities that have been involved in the Ohio Main Street program, and to extend my warmest invitation for you all to come be participants in the community feedback program. Again, that's next Wednesday, or Wednesday, October 28th, between 6 and 8 p.m. And if anybody would happen to know the occupancy level of this room, I would love to know that so that I can put in my plan for ingress and egress to the health department and make sure that we're within 20% capacity. Any takers?
That'd be a Joe or any question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then you have to have the building open and stuff, so that.
Yeah, we're going to need to have this open, but I was here, we were here doing our planning and there was no occupancy posted on the doors, so hopefully we can.
Just ask Joe. Joe Lozier.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions about the Ohio Heritage and Main Street program? I do have a couple flyers up here.
Ms. Trader, would you give me the dates one more time?
It's October 28th and 29th, that's next Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay.
The community evening between 6 and 8 is on Wednesday. There are other portions of the day are really allotted towards the Ohio Heritage program will come here and do their own independent assessment, basically get an outsider's view of London and come away with first impressions. And then the secondary portion, there's like a lunch with some identified stakeholders and then a stakeholder guided tour to supplement what the assessors have already taken in under their own impressions and kind of see a lot of this program is designed to identify those things that both views found as positive and what both views found as could be needing some improvement. So the self-guided tour for the Ohio Heritage actually takes place on Wednesday morning, and then we've got a couple meetings in the afternoon, and then a community feedback session is in the evening. There is a follow-up session on Thursday that I think is supposed to be more work groups and identified stakeholders and what kind of projects we can implement going forward, but that may or not be a virtual session at this point in time. So.
Well, it's definitely good to see that the Downtown Revitalization Committee is active. Something that's been dear to me, I worked on this quite a few years ago we tried to get things going down here, and we had a company come from Texas to do a presentation on how to bring business to your community and everything. And we did a lot of work and got a lot of movement. So
yeah, and I mean this has been done and then done and then done, and I think where every one of these programs has sort of tried and then maybe fails to have any follow through is funding. There's got to be a source of funding, and there's got to be a person whose job is committed to continuing to identify new areas of potential development, new problem areas, and basically do great research, writing, all these kinds of things. So we're hopeful that we can have, with the assistance of the Ohio Heritage Program, some guidance in establishing a board, establishing some founding members, getting a continued source of funding for at least one employee part-time to be able to ensure that this kind of thing has momentum that keeps it going forward into the future.
Sounds good.
That's all we have.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for your time. Oh, was I supposed to sign something?
Yeah, there's a form down there, you just put your name and address, and if you could please just give that to the clerk. Thank you.
All right, oh, here we go.
Okay, on to our city official reports. No report, okay. On to old business, ready for our third reading. Ordinance 17820, motion to read by title and number. Clerk, could you please read the ordinance?
Ordinance 17820, an ordinance vacating an alley.
This is related to an alley that comes off of Vernon Avenue, runs south to the Metropolitan Housing fence line, and then east over Walnut Street. There's several fences and sheds already on that property, and the residents that have left the alley have already signed up the petition. The Ohio Edison and wastewater have reserved them, or would like to reserve the right to have easement rights to those properties. So this is the third reading, so we'll have a public hearing on November 5th.
Any questions on that alley vacation? Okay, on to ordinance 17920, a motion to read by title or number.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, second. Clerk, please read the ordinance.
Ordinance 17920, ordinance vacating an alley.
Okay, this is related to vacating alley on West High Street, between 201 West High Street and 209 West High Street. It's basically functioning as a driveway, I believe, right now. And all the residents abutting that alley that signed up on the petition. As far as utilities, there were no objections from the utilities to vacate that. And that comes up for public hearing on November 5th.
Okay. Further questions on ordinance 17920? Okay, on to ordinance 18220, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
All right, clerk, please read the ordinance.
Ordinance 18220, an ordinance setting a monthly stormwater utility fee.
This is our third reading, this ordinance. We took it 3 readings to give the citizens of London time to respond to any input. What it is, it's a way of funding the storm water utility, and it's a fee that will be $2 effective January 2021. There was a little confusion, thought that it was going to, the $2 was go in September of this year, and then in 2021. Let's get that clear, that the first increase would be January 2021 of $2. And then for the next 4 years, it would be $1.50. And this will be to fund the storm water utility, the storm sewers. And I just want to note that Bill has continually been going after grants and receiving them. And he just received another increase of a grant, another grant for the south side of an additional $20,000 for storm sewer. So he is working very diligently about funding them with grants, and there'll be fees from the residents, and capital money and tax money is going into this fee. And this is the third reading, and I think we've, anybody got any more concerns or comments concerning this legislation?
We'll have to amend it,
To,
well, because it says October 2020,
that's when it's effective?
yes.
Originally, I came across it back.
No, it's, the effective date is January 2021.
No, originally the one that started in October
Or
2020,
you said May.
that we mentioned 20, started
Yeah.
January.
So I'm going to make a motion to amend this, is what we need to do. Make a motion that we need to amend it to be effective January 2021.
I'll second.
Clerk, would you please take the roll call?
Peter,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Pitt,
Yes.
Blazer,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
18220 has been amended, and we need a motion to adopt.
Make a motion to adopt it.
A second.
And before we do the vote, I'd actually like to mention on this ordinance with the storm utilities, we eventually will need more done because and everyone knows, our drains, they back up. And every time we hear, every once in a while we hear that another, something collapsed and the bricks and everything. So with our city growing, we will need to eventually put even more effort into our storm sewers, and that's going to involve equipment and manpower and everything. So, and we have a first and a second. All right, clerk, please take the roll call.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Pitt,
Yes.
Blazer,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. 1 to new business, resolution 19120, motion to read by title and number.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, clerk, please read the resolution.
Hayes,
This new.
oh, sorry.
Just, resolution 19120.
Yeah, resolution 19120, a resolution increasing appropriations.
Okay,
This is a resolution for the police department. They have, extra money in their training budget, a lot of it due to COVID, because you can't go training anywhere. But they need to do it's a, update and a fee, their annual fee for their reporting system that they have to use, and that's $20,000. There's not enough in that account for that, so this will move for money from training to vehicle maintenance, or maintenance of equipment, which will be able to satisfy that 20,000. It's also got an emergency clause on it.
okay. Any further discussion on 19120? All right, we need a motion.
Move to suspend.
Okay,
Second.
and a second. All right, clerk, please take the roll call.
Hayes,
Yes.
Pitt,
Yes.
Blazer,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Okay, and then we need a motion to adopt.
Make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay.
Pitt,
Yes.
Blazer,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
Okay, go on to resolution 19220, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Hill. Clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution 19220, a resolution increasing appropriations.
The police pension fund needs to be increased to cover the remainder of the year, so just moving the 120,000 from one police pension to the 238, 151, 502.
And this has an emergency clause on it too.
Yes.
Those funds moved, make sure we're not running out. Okay, so we have a motion on that.
Or does anybody have any questions or concerns?
Yeah.
Can I make a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule?
I'll second.
Second. Okay. Clerk, please take the roll call.
Blazer,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Pitt.
Yes.
And a motion to adopt.
Make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay.
Smith,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Pitt,
Yes.
Blazer.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries. Going to Resolution 19320, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
Resolution 19320, a resolution increasing appropriations.
The city has received additional CARES Act funds. This amount was $372,177 that we received. And we need to move it from the grant revenue line to the expense line so we can spend this money. And like I mentioned earlier, all the funds for the community center, for that would be used for this.
And also in public service, we come up with some other equipment that we'll be able to purchase using that COVID money that will help recreation and street departments. And because we realize that the city gets this money, but all the departments can use it. So different, it may come up in different committees that we use for it. And when it comes up, we need to put the emergency clause on it because we need to use that money.
Yeah,
There's two things came up,
we have to use it before, what, December,
Supposed to be November, we have to,
yeah,
we
November,
have to appropriate it by November.
Yeah.
we got to, we have to report it.
Report it, we have to
Okay.
report it in November. And so, in our service meeting, we came up with two additional things that would be very, very good for the city to do parks and will benefit street and parks and
Good.
Mhm. So as the, I can imagine what somebody might be sitting in their office and come up with, well, we can use this, and we'll need to get that appropriated ASAP. I think we've had a total of, what did we say, 500,000, over 500,000,
Right.
somewhere around there.
All right, so we have a motion to suspend.
Anybody else have any questions? I make a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule.
Second.
Okay, Greg, please take roll call.
Russell,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson,
yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Pitt,
Yes.
Blazer,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
And a motion to adopt.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Pitt,
Yes.
Blazer,
Yes.
Smith, Russell.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Ordinance 19420, a motion to read by title or number.
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Ordinance 19420, an ordinance amending 1060 of the codified ordinances in Harrison Township.
Yeah, so if you guys saw on Exhibit A 19420, the issue is that we didn't have a charge system set up. And so we've had to move the gates up to the creek because we were getting people just going out there and dumping stuff and leaving it, and then Leslie's department was getting stuck with paying for the removal of some of those things. And then also we were getting things that should not be out there. And so they moved the gate, but to help cover the expense of getting rid of those or storing with employees, they have to have an employee. Pickup trucks, $30, single axle, $55, tandem axle, $75, clean dirt, no charge. They have to have an employee present at the time of dumping. They may deny items such as metals, hazardous materials, and other items deemed harmful to the landfill. So just helps keep us in line, keeping everything, controlling what's making its way back there.
So what can you dump back there?
What? There's no can, it's just property. It's just property. So like, that's why mainly the items like concrete, dirt, and things like that will be put back there.
Didn't we talk about that? Since there's one free pickup at the roadside or at your curb, that we're going to do one free dump at the
This
dump.
is completely different.
Okay.
So this has nothing to do with the main dumping station.
This is
Okay.
back behind.
Yes, this is back behind the ball field.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this has nothing to do with, this is mainly for like, probably more like your commercial people, things like that. Yeah. Yeah, because if you had like, I mean, technically, if you had one truckload, you could dump it right at the city dump right now, and do that. So now you'll have a charge with it, but that's to help us to control those things. So this is what they say the landfill, allow dumping to landfill must be done with a sanitation employee. This is completely separate from like residential stuff in the main landfill area. Or why I should say not landfill, the dumping area. This is the landfill area. So they got pretty bad out of control back there, so.
All right, any further discussion on 194-20?
Okay, I make a motion that we suspend the 3 reading rule for 194-20.
Second.
Clerk, please take the roll call.
Robinson,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Hitt,
Yes.
Blazer,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Okay, and a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Hayes,
Yes.
Hitt,
Yes.
Blazer,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Peters,
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. 1-2, ordinance 195-20, motion to read by title and number.
Second.
Mr. Robinson.
Ordinance 195-20, an ordinance to make appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures for the city of London, state of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021.
Okay, this is round one of the budget, that happy word. So this is, we need to get the 3 readings in for the budget, so this is the first reading of the budget. Now, we've actually turned in a duplicate, almost a duplicate of last year, because of the money situation, what we're getting, what we're not getting, and where we are, although we are staying pretty good through it all. And so this is just the first reading. We will be discussing it in depth at finance meetings. And I'll try my best to keep everybody posted, should anything big or major come up. We will be discussing it from here on and finance stuff.
Okay.
And discussing whether there'll be a capital budget or not. We don't know. It's just something we have to just wait, but we do have to present a budget by December 31st, for 2020. So this is just the first reading. We'll leave it on.
Any further discussion on 195-20?
So what you're saying is this is money that they're gonna need for between now and the end of the year, or what they're gonna need
No,
next year?
this is the 2021 budget.
Okay,
Operating.
because it says fiscal year ending 2020.
That's when it has to be in. This is, we have to have it in the 2021.
That's an error. It should say.
Yeah, so it should say fiscal year
Yeah.
2020.
Janelle missed that.
Oh, okay. This is for the fiscal year 2021.
Yeah.
Money that we'll need to spend,
Operate.
cover, yeah, to operate for operations.
Any further discussion?
Do we need to amend that then?
What?
Would we need to amend that, or?
What is the
We'll
topic?
we'll fix it.
Okay.
It'll get, actually, she has already fixed it.
Okay.
It just, the one copy you got was,
Yeah, I called that the other day.
yeah.
There was a couple, I don't know if you know who you read it, but there was a couple little errors in there, so she sent an email, she got it all fixed, and I don't know if I know that office. Wasn't correct, but the next one we get will be correct.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing further, on to roundtable. Mrs. Russell.
I'd like this young man to introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Matt Edgington. I am a registered nurse at Nationwide Children's Hospital. I grew up in Mount Sterling. I worked really closely with Marlene in the 4-H program for the last 10 years. I'm actually Brian Robinson's brother-in-law.
Oh, I'm afraid of you.
I'm sorry for you, brother.
Welcome.
Jeez, man.
Well, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you for stepping in for Arlene. She always does such a good job for us.
Yeah.
We love our
Did a great job, Mike.
Yes.
Thank you.
I am.
Okay, Mr. Peters.
I don't know.
All right, Ms. Robinson.
I just want to say, get out and vote. I make sure your voice is heard. We don't have too many of these left before the actual election is, so please make sure you get out and vote, make sure your voice is heard. It's big years.
Mr. Hayes?
I'd like to thank all the city employees for a job well done. Everybody just doing a remarkable job. We appreciate you. I'm just going to expand on what Brian said. A lot of men died, a lot of women died. So you have the right to go vote. Don't sit on your duff. Get up. Either go to the polls and vote, or go out to the county, to the election office and vote. They died so you could have that right. That's all I got.
All right, Mr. Hayes.
The next safety meeting is November 10th at 6 p.m. here, or the meeting room over there. And I'd like to also reiterate what Mr. Hayes and Mr. Robinson said, to get out and vote. It's a lot of critical issues at stake coming up, so it's important to get out and make sure you voice your opinion by voting.
All right, Mrs. Blazer?
I'd also like to reiterate what they're saying, that it's very important that we all get out and vote. I believe that you can't complain about what's going on if you don't stand up and vote and try to make something, either keep it the same or make the change that you want to be made. So, and just like Rich said, that there's many people in our past that have died, so we have that privilege, which a lot of people in this world do not have. And also, what I usually say is try to be nice to each other, try to be safe. We are not out of the woods. Our numbers, as everybody's known, have gone up in Madison County. We're level 3 now. So please try to protect yourself and others by wearing your mask when you're out around people. And I'm COVID negative, so I had a test. Oh, great.
All right, on to Mr. Smith.
I have none.
All right. I'd also like to just encourage everyone to please go out and vote and keep all of our public officials and ourselves in your thoughts, because it's not always easy. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, but you're out there representing the people, and sometimes it's tough when you're representing the people and you're doing what the people want versus what the party wants or something like that. So please keep everyone in your thoughts and prayers. All right. Nothing else? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.